I got my start late 2014. First as a writer, and it kind of developed as I realized that it was tougher to get the right attention or even to get work, as it were, as strictly a writer. But I realized that what I was good at was talking my way into places and gaining access to places that most people would have trouble to or just couldn't. The real motive behind becoming a journalist from the get-go was that I didn't really like how the coverage was done regarding Honduras. It always had a tone to it that not exactly dismissive, but very unempathetic. There was almost a quality of dehumanization when it came to discussing Honduras and the crises that were affecting the country that never sat well with me. And it was from that point that I realized that I felt rather, well, I can write, I have a training as a policy writer, why not tell the story of Honduras as a Honduran? I began covering conflict in Honduras and Latin America as they pertain to the drug war, because these, as opposed to other conflicts around the world, it is one that is man-made or completely manufactured, because certain substances are illegal, therefore you have all this blowback that is all-encompassing and completely destructive. You have the power that corrupts governments, and that has its consequences. It creates easy source of money for people who have been left out of the economic system because of corruption, and that creates armed groups that are motivated by that. The fighting that happens between these different groups ends up displacing people. So at least in the Americas, the drug war is causing such devastation, and the question on whether or not it should be happening or the validity of it isn't really discussed. It seems like that there is now, particularly with media in the US, I wouldn't really include many other places, the desire to include voices that are from the countries that are being reported on, as opposed to how it has been historically, ever since photojournalism as itself exists. Now there is, in certain sectors and certain outlets, and really specifically certain editors that want to include more voices from these places. And not to say that that is a complete upheaval of how the industry has been, but now you find that. And I think that's for the better. Ideally, it would be best if it kept happening and there was more inclusion, more of different voices, because that's where the richness, I think, of where things are. You have one specific demographic group that tells the same story, it's not going to be the same. If you have different points of views covering the same story, as varied as the story might be, you're going to get a more complete sense of, or nearer to the truth that one can get. For storytellers out there, either if they're starting out or they're already established, there are three components as far as what our job is. One is to report the facts as they are, bear witness to history and record it, so that future generations can learn and from the knowledge that we generated. And the third is to help foster empathy, that these people and stories of mass displacement aren't just blank, faceless numbers. People who are suffering from homelessness or drug addiction or anything like this, that are these big stories that are national headlines or international headlines. They had names, they had families, they were someone's son, someone's daughter, father, mother, and I think that there always has to have humanity in the text that we write and the pictures that we take. To realize that the work is being received the way that it's being received, and it's being, not even received, it's being read and being consumed and contemplated, and in some cases I've heard that people are teaching it as, in schools to talk about migration is humbling. It honors me. I am beyond grateful, and it's hard. It is hard to think about it. The fact that we're sitting here right now, the way that we're sitting is crazy. As for what the future holds, I stopped trying to predict because things like this happen, and not even in my wildest dreams could I have ever believed it.